So, Cesar, I'm very excited. Everyone, I just want to let you know that Cesar and I actually met through the Faith-Driven Entrepreneur Network. And we had an intro call, and yeah, all I can say is I will just let God lead the way in this connection and the future of all of us together. But Cesar's actually got a really interesting business concept about adaptive AI. So I know everyone's talking about ChatGPT and all these different things, which is Gen AI, but they are thinking beyond in the adaptive AI space. I don't know that much about it, so I will absolutely leave it to him to explain the ins and outs of all of that. All I know is that it's amazing, it's thought-provoking, and I'm also very excited to find out more, because I know we've had a couple of conversations, but yeah, just to dig deeper, see how God will lead and what will pop out in this episode with you, Cesar. So Cesar, I'm going to hand over to you. I would love for you to just introduce yourself to everybody, tell them where you're from, tell them about your business, and just as the Holy Spirit leads, whatever you want to share, that would be amazing.
That's lovely. Thanks, Elmarie, and thanks for this wonderful opportunity. It's always so inspiring to meet people like you, trying to make a difference. And I think we're all in the same boat, right? We want to do something for God's glory, and with what we have been given, try to be faithful with that. And and this is exactly what I'm doing, right? So I mean, it is so funny because I became Christian when I was like about 13 years old. And when I was 14 years old, I started fantasizing about stories. I mean, the Bible is so full of stories, right? And about the stories, especially about the future. I mean, obviously, I'm a big science fiction fan, and I grew up with Star Wars. As one of the first movies my dad took me to was Empire Strikes Back. And I was always fantasizing about what would be the future for Christians, right? When we get to that point where we are all really walking with Jesus. But anyways, to keep it short, so the wish to tell stories was already back then, many years ago, and this whole thing with Kisszu started taking form in 2015. Wow. Through some personal crisis, I started writing a book. So pretty much, I was told I could never have children, right? I could, I was, I came out of a relationship that tried over 10 years, everything what technology could offer, and nothing happened. So, the relationship broke off because of this. So it was very, very hard, broken period in my life. Then I thought, I'm going to start writing. One of my biggest desires, even back then, was to have a sister. I have 3 older brothers, and I always wanted to have a sister. And I said, okay, I didn't have a sister, then I'm going to have daughters, And then you come to that point in life, and, they tell you, this is it, right?
Yes.
This dream of yours is dying, or it will not happen. So I pretty much started writing about my possible imaginative daughter, right?
Wow.
And in my fantasy, it was a girl who, when she would dance, she will heal, right? I mean, that was, a very deep desire of mine.
Wow.
But that was the same year that I met my wife. My now wife. And she made these plush toys out of old clothes, I mean, she comes from the Ukraine, and I mean, obviously very, very scarce resources. So she will make gifts for her friends out of old clothes that she will have, and she will make a plush toy. And I saw this one plush toy, and when I saw it, I fell in love with the plush toy because it was all funky, with little pieces from different stuff, right? And I said, oh, you have to make another one for your friend because this is mine.
I love it.
And I told her, let's start a business with plush toys that from old clothes and looking funky and so on and so on. But my background is in software development. By trade, I'm a software developer. And, very fast it was like, this cannot be only a plush toy, right? This has to be a smart toy. And, and the next one was like, this cannot be only a smart toy, right? This has to be a robot. And in 2015, I started the dream, right? To make robots. I just didn't know for what, right?
Yeah.
So in 2018, we got married in 2017, and in 2018, we had our daughter. And we pretty much noticed that if you want your kids to grow up taking full advantage of technology and the digital lifestyle that we all enjoy, there's no way but through or with screens, So when we're talking about screens, we're talking about the 4 screens, right? Smartphone, tablet, PC, laptop, and TV, right?
Yes.
We were so disappointed because, we all parents, I'm sure you do also, and I don't know a single parent that doesn't hate the screens.
None. Right? Yet we all just have it, but we hate it.
Exactly.
But it's there and it's happening.
So I guess, we as adults, we need it for work or for different things, right? But you don't want your kids so early, being glued at a screen, right? It's not good for their eyes. It's not good for, their attention. And there are so many problems that screens cause. So in 2018, we kind of felt the calling, say, when we are teaching our daughter something, we don't have screens in our face or in our chest, right? It's language, right? It's an emotional body language also, right? Your gestures, your body, So we kind of thought we wanted to make a robot. So let's purpose this robot for the education of children, right? Wow. And then we started, dreaming about it. And pretty much in 2020, when we were living in Helsinki, Helsinki is one of the meccas of education in Europe. Yeah. We thought we're in the right place. And we decided to start doing more research. We had a lot of capital from different ventures that I had. We had restaurants and different things. So we said, okay, we're going to fund with the money that we have, we're going to fund it but thanks to COVID, we lost pretty much everything.
Oh, wow.
Right. So, it was a very, very tough time for us, but that helped us to rethink, how we are going to present the robot to the world, right? And actually was kind of like a blessing in disguise, although obviously we still hurt about all the business that we lost. Yeah. That helped us, and kind of forced us to rethink our go-to-market strategy. And the one thing that we thought is, actually, all the toys that I had, I don't know about you, but I think most kids, is because of the cartoons, right?
Yes, always.
My generation, it was
what they
Star
see on
Wars,
TV,
G.I. Joe, Transformers, and now for the kids it's Paw Patrol or Peppa Pig or whatever, depending on the age they are.
Yes.
And this is where we thought, the low-hanging fruit that needs zero investment, a little bit of investment, is to continue writing the story that I started writing in 2015. So I repurposed the story, to fit into the universe, to include, the girl, you can see it in my background, right? It's still there. But we, inserted different elements, and with the goal, obviously, that is not only going to teach kids, for example, kindness and love and taking care of your environment, The one thing we're asking the kids is, the name of the girl is Elämä. It's a Finnish word that means life. So, if Elämä heals when she dances, what is your superpower, right? What is your superpower, to heal the nature, to maybe be kind to your friend, to do something, right? So, and through that story, we also obviously introduce the robot. So, to answer your question, at this point in time, the way we like to transmit the message is, so we are a MedTech and an EdTech, embodied adaptive AI robots company, right?
Yeah.
and it's empathetic, playful, and cheeky companions, igniting children's full potential through stories, play, and music families can fall in love with.
Wow.
So we're not just going to make some boring robot. It has to be cheeky, right? It has to be a little bit.
Because you do get a couple random robotic things that you can buy right now, but they just obviously they're not talking or interactive like an adaptive AI. It's just something that you've, like a remote control car, but now it's like a robot, right? But yeah, I don't know how long the novelty lasts, because you get it and the child's so excited, then it's like, well, you haven't played with it since your birthday, so I'm not really sure like how interesting this robot is to you. But anyway.
Yeah, but this is exactly why we're talking about adaptive AI, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, we humans, we are able to adapt our conversation, depending on whom you're speaking. We're able to adapt also our language depending on the age of the person around us, right? And I mean, it's kind of funny, right? But because, my youngest son is 1 year old, and the way we talk to him is like, hello, baby, how are you? You don't go that speaking to your boss, right? Like,
no.
How are you? That'd be funny, right? But this is, I think that ChatGPT is also teaching us, and it is a great blessing for us also, because despite all what is in the news, is educating people about what AI can do. So by the time we come in, and hopefully also with good news, right, with a very robust, secure system, with a very robust, infrastructure to make parents aware that we don't want their information or their data. We want to serve them. We want to do something good for them and for their kids, right? So this is where we are going, right? Where adaptive AI, I mean, there's a level of education that you can get from ChatGPT or other AI, right? I mean, they can learn a little bit, but it's not at the level that we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
So, and this is when adaptive means that, the robot will be able offline, right? When we will have, like, I don't know, 10 or 15 terabytes of memory in that thing. So that most of things happen offline, similar to the architecture that Apple has, right?
Yes. Wow.
To really adapt depending on the age, depending on the answers, also to understand how the child learns, right? Because we all learn differently. We are all different, right?
So true. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I was just trying to reflect back on. I'm not like sitting here doing work while we're talking to each other. I take a couple of notes as you speak, and as things stand out to me. And I was really, what stood out to me right now was around when you were saying that it was a personal crisis that came and brought about this business, because I was just listening to, I think it was probably like a teaching at church on Sunday, and a podcast that I was listening to, and just and also like an old coach that I had that really says that mostly when you start something, it will always come out of that place of whether it was trauma or circumstance or pain, and that your past will lead you to your purpose. So it's almost, I know that there must have been obviously this personal crisis or the pain that you've gone through, but just to be encouraged that whatever you are building and whatever all those things that's come together to bring you to where you are right now, that is going to be used for the glory of God. Like when you were starting as well, saying, like glory to God. And the other thing that stood out to me as well was, just if you think about like the news that you've received around, oh, well, you'll never be able to have children, and look where you are today, and then putting like that type of level of miracle and breakthrough in that circumstance, like, can you imagine like what God can even do just in your business circumstances? That, it's we just have to kind of have that capacity to receive the blessings that He has for us. And we had an awesome teaching on Sunday as well about miracles, and just to get yourself ready, you know, whether that's your character, because I know when we first started talking about stewardship and faithful with the little and making sure that your heart's in the right place and all those different things, which obviously a lot of podcasts talk about in the entrepreneurial world. But it's just to kind of, you know, get yourself ready, because God has shown you before, like it's your testimony that speaks. Because there was another awesome thing that I heard earlier on. It's such a good podcast, I have to send it to you, but it was in Matthew 11:9 that says, but wisdom is shown to be right by its results, which about, you know, you can, if you're going to share your testimony or preach, it's the things that reflect the results or the fruits of what's already happened. Like no one can take away from you that you've been told you'll never have children, but here you are, like literally with your children, your 1-year-old, you know, your kids, and look at the business that you're building around children. Like how much glory is that for God? And a verse that really stood out for me as well is when you were saying, you know, like just the pain of everything that you've gone through and all the businesses and stuff that you've lost, because I know I've spoken a little bit offline about all of that as well, but that I can't remember the exact verse, and I'm not going to Google it now, but just the one about the locusts, and like, you know, God will restore whatever the locust is eaten or taken or whatever. It's, yeah, I'm sure you know which verse I'm talking about, and that's really something that, you know, God will do for you, because it's just the track record of where you've been, and like, you know, him showing his faithfulness, and even just around the you know, if God, like that verse around how God looks after, you know, the flowers and the little birds and stuff, like how much more would you look after us as children, and for us having children, you know how much you love your children, you know how much you want to give to them, but we're in this fallen world with a sinful nature. Like God is absolutely perfect and he just wants the best for you, but we just have to, like, almost like what Pastor was saying on Sunday as well, it's just, you know, about capacity. I think I wrote it down here: make room for God and then the increase will come. Like just be expectant and ready, you know, for the blessing. So I just have no doubt for whatever is coming ahead for your idea and everything that you're doing. I don't think you should even question. I don't think that there should even be a place, you know, I was even writing here about Joseph having a dream, you know, and I was thinking about Joseph, like he had this favor from his father already, he had this amazing coat, but then everyone, like the evil brothers, were jealous and selling him off to the slaves and whatever. Just block out those evil brothers or whatever you want to call it. Block out the negativity or the mockers or judgment or the even doubt can be something that can really come and attack our minds. I think, yeah, I just really feel led to say, like, you have something incredible, and just don't even question, like just speak life, like this is it, it's going to be amazing. And you know, the competition that you've signed up for with the prize giving and investors and all these different things, like, you know, God has your back, and he's just, you know, you put him above all else. And wow, with this idea, I don't know, it's just going to be something really big.
Yeah, thanks. You're too kind, El Maria, and yeah, I guess, you know, as Christians, there's always this friction, right? This pull and push that you have in your life between, you know, dreaming big, right?
Yes.
And wanting to do something amazing at the same time, you know, watching for your heart, that, you know, you don't become arrogant, you know, in saying, you know, I mean, I'm going to be this, and that's why, you know, I'm already, you know, feeling like so big, right?
Yeah.
And I think this is a very human exercise, right? That we all go through. It doesn't matter in what stage you are in your life. You will always wrestle with that, because, you know, we're still inside of
human.
This thing, right? That is full of emotions and full of desires that are not always, you know, walking with God, right? But I guess that's why, you know, there's so many teachings from Jesus that we can learn also as entrepreneurs, you know, about, you know, just not walking alone, right? You know, the principle of accountability, right? You know, when Jesus said always in pair, in couples, right? And, you know, and it is so good to have people like you or Ian or other co-founders that are Christian, because
Yeah.
you're able to speak also honestly with them, and also being very, very raw in saying, keep me in check, please help me, let's do this,
Yes.
keeping our hearts in check, right? Because I mean, right now we don't know what would really happen, right? We're dreaming and we're hoping. Let's see what God has in store. But
Yeah.
at the same time, I think it is a wonderful exercise,
Yeah.
right? To try to understand where you're at, and trying to understand also that whatever type of success that you may have is one, always for the glory of God, but
Yes.
secondly also, you cannot just have $1 billion dollars or British pound in your account and say, I glorify you, Lord, and
No.
and have your Rolex and drive your whatever car, right? And
No.
having a very luxurious life. And I don't think that luxury is the problem. I think the
No.
issue is, if you have if you have those tools, what
Mm.
are you going to do with it, right? So,
Yes.
we're already thinking, and we don't want to, how do you call that in English, jump the gun, or what is the saying? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. It is that, or like just get ahead of yourself or
Yeah, get ahead of
something like
yourself.
that.
But,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously in our pitch, we already said very boldly, we're going to support orphanages, right? I mean, part of the story, in the
Yes.
story, the main character ends up in a orphanage,
Yeah.
and we want to find a way how to support orphanages, right? We are
Wow.
looking also at ways on how to create our own VC to support other Christian entrepreneurs, right? And
Yes.
also, for example, help the elderly. Just in front of our place, there's a big elderly house, and they're so
Yeah.
lonely. They're
I know.
so,
So
so
lonely.
lonely, and just already thinking ahead of time, without trying to solve too many problems at the same time, because it's important to focus. But, if we will have the chance, I guess it's about God talking to your heart,
Mm.
that He doesn't give you means just for you to.
Roll in your cash. Your yacht.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's
This
about
is
being
profound.
responsible, right? What to do with that. And I think we have so many great, great examples also
Yeah.
already from Christian entrepreneurs. There's these Christian entrepreneurs, very big ones. I don't remember. I think it's the Welch family or something from the juices, right? That
Mm.
they give 90% of their profit in as a tie, and they just keep the 10%, right? So they reverse it. They give
Yes.
more away, right? There's the Netflix series about the Guinness, right? And if you read
Wow.
about the Guinness family, I mean, these guys, independent of whatever uh, things they had in their hearts, they did so
Yes.
much good to the employees. They were paying the medical bills. They were sending the guys,
Wow.
to free education. I mean, they were one of the first companies, maybe in the world, that were paying a pension to their employees that just, came over the age, right, of
Yeah.
65 or whatever. So, and just really with Christian values shaping your community,
Yes.
and making a difference in the world.
Yeah. And I think, yeah, for me, that servanthood topic has come up quite a bit in the last week, actually. And it's not even just, it's very weird because when God speaks, He will speak through people at work who's not even a believer, or stuff that I watch. The previous person that I interviewed, the coach that I had before, he was also talking about servanthood. And this podcast that I watched earlier today that I really want to share with you, they were saying the same thing. It's about, it's the guy had a really good statement where he said selfishness is the thing that keeps people from getting what they want selfishly. And that if you are only building to solve for yourself and to get rich, and it's about me, 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 you will get stuck in that bubble. You need to be building and solving to serve and help others. And when you obsess
100%.
about other people's problems and you are all about helping them, or whatever the business is that you're in, like of course with you with the adaptive AI, like you are there to solve problems for the screen time, and then helping people with the language and the education, all these amazing things that it can do through the robot, and just how people sometimes don't think that way. They will really think about, and I think even some people that I've interviewed, they're like, I've sort of started my business initially with a monetary idea in mind. I just wanted to not work, but I wanted to earn this amount of money and just make a lot of money. I'm like an entrepreneur and I'm just going to like earn. But what are you going to be doing with the money that you get? And that's when it comes back to the pre-podcast before we started recording about your heart and like what is your bigger vision, or because that should be part of your vision. Like what are you going to be giving 100%. Or doing or committing to God, to go, I'm giving back, God, for your kingdom. I'm building this business to help advance your kingdom. But how do you want me to do that? And then he obviously speaks to different people in different ways, because not all of us are called to, be an investor or like work with children or whatever. And he will then lead you in the ways of where you should be investing and what you should be doing. And I think that's when God's blessing really comes in, and he helps you to kind of build and do those different things. And for me, what I wrote down there is like, it's about servanthood and not arrogance. Like it's 100%. me, and I'm doing it, and I'm so great, and I've got this idea, and it's me. But like, hang on, if you're a Christian, like, no, it's God. God is working through you as a vessel. He's helping you every day. He's guiding you, through prayer and the Bible. Like he speaks. I have to say, like every single time before I come on one of these like podcasts, I'm like, God, tell me stuff. Like, what do you want me to, like, I don't know how the conversation's going to go or where it's going to lead. And so then today I'm reading the Bible and I'm like, oh my gosh, he's talking about marriage and, unequally yoked. And I'm like, this is not even going to be like attached to the topic we're talking about. But then I watched this podcast, and honestly, when you started talking, even before we started recording, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is exactly the stuff I was just hearing. And just how God spoke to me through this specific podcast and the really rich information that was in there. And the other thing that I was writing down about loneliness, it's almost like for anyone listening, there's another problem to solve there, because we even at work had almost like there's a nursery in the UK that will send us sort of packages for the parent network to post online every month or every couple of months. And guess what the headline is about the whole package? They said, we've listened to what it is that you care most about or that you're most concerned about, and the whole thing's about loneliness. And I was like, wow, there is definitely a problem even to solve within 100%. That. But yeah, I think I've got a random question, because this is something I was telling someone about, this idea of yours. And you'll get the people that are really keen for AI, and they are, yes, oh my gosh, this is amazing, I love it, But then you'll get the people that are maybe a little bit more wary, and then they'll go, well, we're talking about children, like how would you ensure this is safe and ethical? And, like some people have very controversial views around AI as like the enemy. I know, obviously I've got my views. I love the AI topic and I love AI stuff, but they'll go, it's like the mark of the beast and all these different things in the system. Yes. Do you know what I mean? Like it can go to quite extreme levels, and everyone's got their beliefs and their views. But if you were approached by people asking this question, like what would you say, kind of, what is your approach to make sure that they are comfortable for their children using this robot, that this is safe and it's ethical, and like you don't have to worry that someone's like hacking into the little robot teaching your kid some crazy things? I honestly in my mind can't see the difference between obviously a screen where a really bad ad pops up or there's hidden messages in a cartoon, which I can't even cope the amount of stuff on Netflix these days that even like scares your children. Like I've literally had my toddler like crying the other day over a movie that I walked in on. I'm like, what is this? Like, no, she's too young. It's scary. Like spirit of fear can hit her, like no. So just any thoughts around that for people, for parents, with those different views on AI would be awesome.
No, let me answer. And I have so many good stories to tell you about technology and all of this. Let me just first, I will answer your question. Let me just talk first a little bit about the why and actually the problem, because we've been talking a lot about the problems that we're solving. And one thing that I love from FDE is when they're talking about solving the biggest problems in the world, right? We are called to be, why not us, right? Why somebody else?
That's right.
And obviously the problem is there's 2.2 billion children that are growing up in a digital world that doesn't nurture their mental, emotional, and physical well-being. They deserve more than endless screen time, right?
Yes.
So the next target group, which is kind of like two apples in the same bag, is the parents, right? There are 3.9 billion parents that are overwhelmed by today's educational demands, and underwhelmed by the solutions offered. So the question is, what is missing, right? We all want our children to, be the best. We go to schools and the curriculum, Germany is not so bad, right? Maybe it's in the top 20, top 50 nowadays worldwide. Yeah. But the educational curriculum is from after the Second World War. They have not been able to update it, right? So this is the second problem. And the next one is there are 94 million teachers, shouldering the weight of the next generation, but the system is strained. And 69 million more are needed by 2030. So the education is at a breaking point in almost every single country, right? Yes. And I will tell you how we would like to solve. I will give you an example, how, because we're talking about MedTech, obviously we're thinking about, and people asking how a robot is going to help, medically my child, right? So I will give you an example, but, just starting again from the back with the teachers, I had a conversation with a governor in India when I was in Helsinki. And he was telling me, alone in his district, in his region, there are, over 24 million children, right? From these 24 million children, most of the children are in classes of 100 plus, right?
So imagine a child. Class? Yeah. One class with 100 kids. Oh my gosh, it's a lot.
Yes. So imagine a teacher trying to teach something to 100 plus very loud children. It's impossible. It's really, really difficult. I have 3 kids, right? 7, 4, and 1.
Yeah.
Try to put them together and teach them. I cannot imagine, just the loudness. Have you been in a room with 100 children?
Honestly, just 2 of them with a play date here, and I'm like, oh my gosh, guys, can we all just stop screaming? Because when they come together, they get really loud.
Exactly.
Even louder than normal.
So, and then I was telling him, what about, so like when we were in Helsinki and also here in Germany, I don't know how it is in the UK, but so, depending on the school where they are, there's a maximum of 15 or 20, 25 children per class. But I was telling this guy, imagine if we would give that one teacher or every teacher at least 4 robots, right? Or 5 robots, right? So each robot will have 20 children. They will be able to teach them English with whatever, with real English accent, right? Either British or American, whatever you choose, right? So that they don't learn it, with the accent of the teacher, right? What probably is not always the best, or French or Chinese, but, the robots are not there to replace teachers, are there as helpers, right? How we are going to solve those problems for those emerging markets. And, India is one thing, Africa, Latin America, there are so many countries that have exactly the same problem, right?
Yeah.
And so when we are thinking about solving the problem, when we were in Helsinki, we had a person that just did her master in EdTech from Harvard. And, she infused so much from the DNA of the learning philosophy in Harvard for children, which is playful learning, right? Yeah. And it's pretty much children learn best when they're playing, right?
Yes, always.
So I will give you a short example and then I will answer your question. So before that, the hypothesis that we have when thinking about MedTech is obviously there's a bunch of things that you can do, with different sensors and things, having something wearing in either as a necklace or, in your wrists, right? But so one of our co-founders is a at least in Germany, renowned cardiologist. And we were talking about, if we will be able to reduce the risk of child obesity, especially now that
Wow.
many children are just, playing with the screens
So
and
many.
sitting at home,
Yes.
right? And there's another thing that we'd like to talk about, and is, research shows that in the age from whatever 0 to about 14 to 16, you build the cardiovascular footprint for your heart when you grow up.
Yes.
So the
Wow.
amount of exercise and movement that you do in this age is so elemental for you to have a cardiovascular strong footprint when you're adulthood. So we're talking about reducing the risk of heart disease in adulthood, by increasing that footprint, right? So we're thinking the children, some of them more than others, but they have different activities, football, ballet, or whatever they do in the school and so on. But the place where they are sedentary, where they are just not moving, is at home. So if we will be able to inspire them to move at least 30 minutes every day, plus, everything what they do in their hobbies, school, and so on, we would love to see the data, right? That we are achieving that we're supporting the families and the children long term to have a stronger cardiovascular footprint and reduce the risk of heart diseases, right?
Yes.
So, example, we have about 40 applications in the robot, right? One of them is going to be called Travel Around the World, or whatever we call it in the end.
Yeah.
So, the robot is going to wake up based on a calendar of the parents, right? So the parents are going to say, I want my child on Mondays to learn French, and on Tuesdays to learn Spanish at 3 o'clock and whatever, right? And to learn a little bit of mathematics at 4 o'clock. But I want my children to move at least half an hour every day before dinner, right? So that they come hungry, and they do some exercise. So let's say, they choose this application, Travel Around the World. So, at 5 o'clock or 5:30 before dinner, the robot is going to wake up and engage the child, right? With, trying to empathize and say, hello, let's say Charles, right? Hello, Charles, how are you doing? How was your day? And depending on the age, it will be like, hello, you little, or it's going to be different voice, right? And it's going to say, hey, where would you like to travel around the world? So let's say Charles says, oh, last year we did vacations in Rome. I would love to come back to Rome.
Yeah.
The robot is going to say, his name is Kisszu. So Kisszu is going to say, let's pretend that your living room is Rome. So carry me, hug me as strong as you can, and let's run as fast as we can to the living room. Let's go to Rome together. They go to Rome. When they come to Rome, the robot Kisszu is going to say, my goodness, you did it in 10 seconds. Congratulations. But I'm sure that you can do it in 9. Do we want to go back to Berlin or to London, and try to do it again in 9 seconds? They fly back to London. And when they go back to London, the robot is going to say, hey, by the way, do you know how to say good morning in Rome? In Rome, they speak Italian. It's buongiorno. Repeat after me. Buongiorno, right? So the child will learn, maybe a few words in the different languages, right? So it's okay, let's go back to Rome. Oh my God, you broke the record, 9 seconds. Let's jump for 10 seconds to celebrate that you did something great, and play some music, and the child starts jumping.
Get rid of your energy.
Yeah, exactly, right? And depending on the age, maybe it's going to give a fact about, either culture or history about Rome. Did you know that, have you wondered about Rome? Or maybe it's just going to say, in Rome you can eat wonderful pizza, right? Yes. And half an hour engaged in the child like this, the child is learning a new language, the child is learning about history, the child is moving, right? And it's a very healthy activity. So this is how we want to solve the problem, right?
Yeah. Wow.
And we want to not only support the parents, because, try to do this activity.
As a parent, if you've also got a couple of kids, try to be switched on as much as you can, but you're still working, and it's chores, and you're not fully dedicated unless you've kind of built this hectic kingdom business and you've got everything outsourced, and all you need to do is worry about your kids. But it's hardcore, especially living in Europe. We don't have all the extra help like you would in Africa or Asia or Middle East, like in Dubai, people have a helpers living with them. We don't have that sort of lifestyle here.
No. And
it's
obviously,
tough.
I want to spend that half an hour maybe cooking something healthy for my children, right? Instead of, cooking and trying to entertainment and,
make sure their clothes are washed and,
Yeah. So this is what we are aiming in. Imagine 40 different applications, engaging the child in playful learning, for them to move, for them to learn, for them to be actively in a way that is not going to be damaging them, emotionally and mentally through a screen, right?
Yeah.
So this is it. So now to answer your question is one of the biggest questions that we had, right, ourselves.
Yeah.
How are we going to make this thing so secure that, any pervert walking down the street is not going to put out his laptop or his phone and try to connect to the robot to use the camera and see or say whatever, right? So the first thing is the robot is going to come with a very robust security system. The robot is going to be able to pair only with 2 devices, right? We are thinking maybe maximum 3, but I think at the moment we are 2, right? And these devices are going to be able to pair with the robot only with a physical key. So we're going to create a beautiful key that you can insert, right? And only when that thing clicks, right, or turns, you will be able to pair a phone with the robot. And after these 2 devices, the robot is completely blocked. You have to take it apart, so that somebody else can log into that thing, right? So this is one security business. The other one is that the robot is never going to be online. We're going to create like a triangle, where the robot is going to always connect, to the internet, either through the device of, one of these 2 devices. But there are many different ways, so that the robot is never directly connected to the internet, right? So there are going to be downloads and updates, and everything is going to always, it is the long way, but it is the right way, to guarantee security. It's always going to run through the devices of the parents. It's going to say, okay, your device is going to get now the update, whatever, 1 megabyte, whatever it is, right? And from your device, the robot will be updated, right?
Yes.
So we're thinking obviously of different ways, but the robot will not be online. That means we're going to have like a LiDAR camera, and with the LiDAR camera is the cameras that the devices sent to Mars and to the moon have, right? Some of the iPhones have it already, so it's already accessible. But you can do so many things with that type of camera, right? From estimating the weight, to understand also how healthy the child is and how the height and so on and so on. So there's going to be a bunch of things, where we are going to be able to monitor the child, and all that information is going to go always first to the devices they're paired of. We're going to ask once a month to the parents if they want to share anonymous data with us, and it's going to be just pretty much a bunch of numbers, right, to help us also build the products better. We're never going to know from who it is, or have some delicate information. And the robot, as mentioned, is going to come with a bunch of terabytes of memory, right? So all the videos, everything that the robot is seeing and listening is going to be stored locally. We're going to send a message to the parents, down the road saying, okay, you filled up the whatever 10, 15, 20 terabytes of information, the latest content is going to start replace the oldest. So if you want to have a backup, do a backup now, right?
Yes.
So everything is we're not going to be able to access the robot once it leaves the factory, right?
Yeah.
And many business people are going to put the cry in the sky, right? Like, oh my goodness, but then you're going to miss this opportunity to make money and this opportunity to make money. But, this is where we are centered in our values and going to say, look, whatever money we can do with data, we'd rather do it by offering the right value to the families. And security is at the top.
Yes. Right? Yeah.
So,
And with the ideas or the different applications that this robot will have, say for example, because I know obviously you are a Christian business owner, but what about some of your Christian shoppers like, would you have something that can help almost like your young children already start to have, I don't know, it's the things that people don't get their kids to learn at school about, like, investing or being a kingdom entrepreneur builder or learning the Bible or,
Yes.
do you know, like those sort of topics. Can people almost, is it about you guys going on supply and demand, like whatever is the biggest demand, that's the application you'll build? Or are they like, is sort of that kingdom topic something that you're passionate about, that you will have an application for that on different things to help our children?
You're speaking to my heart, because these are two topics, entrepreneurship, three: entrepreneurship, engineering, and obviously faith. That are so close to my heart when we're thinking about this robot, right?
Wow.
So number one is we do want to find ways how to incentivize entrepreneurship to the kids. So for example, something that we're just doing with our kids, right? Like, when you're drawing, right? Maybe think of a drawing that maybe your friends are going to like, and then maybe you don't go to the school asking, give me £1 or €1 or $1 for that. But, maybe as a means of exchanging, right? What, commerce was thousands of years ago, right?
Yeah.
So, and say, look, maybe there's something that you would like borrow or lend, for a time, I will make a beautiful picture that you wish, from whatever you like, right? But start to incentivize this feeling that you need to create a solution, maybe for a problem for somebody, right? We were going to take our kids, they like to use these beads, and just, we are pending. We hope that we can do it for this Christmas, and just put a table in the street and, bring the
the
we have to see about the
love
laws.
Buying from the kids. They really have favor with the pensioners and the grannies. Oh, I'll buy all of it.
Exactly.
Can I give you a bonus? Like, you're doing such a good job.
It's what the Boy Scouts do with the cookies, right?
Yeah.
So definitely that's in our curriculum, right? We need to find the right way. By the way, one of our co-founders is an AI ethicist, or how do you call it?
Like on ethical topics, maybe, or something. Wow.
So she's a sociologist. How do you say that in English? Somebody
sociologist.
Sociologist.
I don't know. I don't even know these extreme titles.
Sociologist, psychologist, and her strength is AI ethics. She has done it already for other companies. So this is at the top of our list, right?
Yeah.
The next one, coding, right? We are going to design the robot in a way that one of the applications is going to be, hey, Matthew or Charles or Anna, whatever, right? Hey, Anna, would you like to learn coding? Would you like to make an application that is going to run inside of me? Maybe there's a game that you would love to play, and would you like, to create that application so that we play it together?
Yeah.
So we are going to go very strong into technical and coding skills, so that, obviously, what ChatGPT can do, right? There are many applications nowadays that you just say, I want a website that does this and that, and bloop, more or less, right? They don't work so well nowadays. But imagine in 5 years time, it's going to be very easy peasy. So we're going to incentivize, or we're going to try to inspire children to create their own applications that might run into the robot, right? And if there's something that is maybe an amazing idea, we're going to let the parents the opportunity to tell us about it, and we're going to be willing to pay them, right, for the rights for that application.
Wow, that's incredible. Yeah. It's like you just have these next level creative minds, because
exactly.
And there's two thoughts that I have quickly before you carry on. Is number one, in the podcast, it was quite an eye-opening topic that they mentioned earlier today, that in the Bible, the concept of a job was only that of slaves and soldiers. Everyone had their own businesses, whether it's farms or whatever that may be. God has designed us to build and to have our own thing, and that's how he can then bless and prosper. And they were even talking about, because I was always joking with my brother saying, the Jewish nation, like I'm yet to
Yes.
meet anyone that's like poor. They're all mega wealthy and they're all connected and they're all helping each other. And this guy said, it's all about them having this understanding of a generational wealth mindset,
Yes.
and they've had that for millennia.
Yes.
And then the other thing was around when we had a Bring Your Child to Work Day on Monday, and I just realized like how, and this, it stood out to me because even in this specific podcast that I was listening earlier, did I write it down here? Oh yes, I wrote it down here that there's a specific study done and the statistics around how people are programmed out of creativity due to conformity, and how the percentage just reduces and reduces and reduces from us as a child. You've got this like 99% creativity, and now you're an adult and it's 2% and you can't even figure out what to cook for dinner. And I realized that when I went to work on Monday, and I said to my colleague, like, sometimes I feel that we just need to bring a couple of 8-year-olds in here to help spark creativity and questioning things and curiosity, because us as adults lost that, and they still have that. And I was really amazed with how I'm traveling to London with my 8-year-old, and she's asking questions for an hour and a half travel all the way to London. Then we get there. Then obviously they go off in their rooms and they do their thing with, the people that's organizing this day through the parent network at work, and they like with other colleagues of the bank's kids in their age groups doing activities, learning about money, investing, and all these different things. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, so this is it just all stitches together amazingly how this robot will empower these kids to be entrepreneurial, because I'm not just doing it for nothing. Like there's a return on investment here for my ideas, and and they'll have awesome ideas. It's like these crazy stories that you hear about some sort of 10-year-old through, I don't know, ChatGPT is like now running some mega million business because they just had the right prompt and they knew what to ask, because they know they ask questions, they're curious, and they have a creative mind. So that's it really kind of pulled it back together to the robot and the things that they can do. That's incredible.
We want to nurture. Like our vision is to ignite and foster the full potential of children. That's our dream, and that's our vision. And when it comes to faith, obviously it is a very good questions that we have not find the solution yet, but we do want to find a way how to tell the principles that bring life, abundant life to all of us, right? So if I tell you, something simple and maybe it's simplifying, but if I tell you don't lie, does that makes it less Christian because I'm not quoting the Bible, right? Or be faithful to your husband, or be faithful to your wife, or be kind to your neighbor. Is that message less Christian because we're not quoting the Bible? No, it is not. These are the principles from God that bring life, that bring abundant life and bring light to the darkness. And this is what we're trying to discover. How are we going to pack all that content inside of the robot to promote God's principles? The thing that we all forget as Europeans and most other Western countries is that most of our countries' laws and governmental and everything was made on the backbone of the Bible back then, and still today, it's a lot of Roman stuff. If you read about history, it's like a big mixture of Rome and then Christianism. But try to go back to that, right? Try to, when we're thinking about the music that we will create, right, for children, we're going to talk a lot about being light, being kind, love each other, music that is really going to empower that, and not talking about, last time, and this is crazy, I need to send back to Apple, we took the, we were listening to music, and we chose a how do you call that, a playlist that was called
Yes.
Family Gaming. And we
Wow.
we said family gaming, yeah, okay. We played it, and then suddenly there was a song talking about your human parts, in the
No,
worst
come
of ways.
on.
And I'm like,
Oh, can't.
how can they put this song in something called
Yeah.
family? And
No.
I made all the screenshots and I still need to send the
Yeah.
feedback. But there's so much messages that are so wrong, and it is so easy for you to fall and to listen to that content, right?
Subtle. Yeah, it's
And
subtle. And
yeah,
even your children, subtly, they
yeah,
just get programmed through
yeah,
this. It could be one thing in a program that
yeah,
will disrupt their innocence forever, or
yes,
make it, like the normalization of witchcraft. It's like every
yeah,
single episode I
exactly.
see on these so-called kid shows, and some pretty evil stuff's coming out as well recently that I saw, and I'm like, how can this even be on a kid's channel? It's
Yeah,
And then it's like, oh, well, witches are not real. I'm like, well, I can introduce you to a couple. I know they're real. And this is just absurd. And
yeah,
it's like, you have to be like a watcher, and you can't just sit back and not bother, because it's your children, it's their innocence. It's
yes,
kind of like whatever can wire or program them. And then you're sitting, maybe it's not something that's manifesting straight away, but like when they become a teenager or something, and you start getting all these different issues pop up, you're wondering, oh, well, I wonder why this is happening. It's like, well, maybe you should have been a bit more careful with what happened in the forming years of, their
yes,
brains and things like that. And so this is amazing, because obviously what you're building from that ethical perspective, and there's none of that sort of worldly carnal programming going into this little robot. And just to come back to what you were saying as well around, us as kingdom builders, it's like going, kind of being on the principles of the Bible. Like the Bible is the guiding force of everything. Whether you are a believer or not, you will still be understanding that there is right and wrong, and it's about the wisdom of God. But earlier they were saying as well that marketplace is ministry, like
yeah,
that's the ability to serve. And so I had a very interesting example at work a couple of weeks or maybe months ago now, of a guy that used to work for Shell. And so he came to one of our employee relations groups, and he presented some topic on mind renewal. And I couldn't believe, because my Christian mind renewal coach, pastor that I've got, everything he was saying, I'm like taking, pictures. I'm like, oh my gosh, this guy must be a Christian. He's talking as if he's, but he said what his aim is to use Christian principles, weave it into the workplace material. A non-believer won't know, but a believer will immediately know. Like, my sheep will hear my voice. Like, you will immediately see and know when someone is a believer or not, and the words he was using and the examples and things like that. And so, it's not about always coming in hard and fast with Bible verses. It's about your testimony, the fruit, the things that you can weave into your business, your presentations, or whatever it is, because you will come across a bunch of people that are not believers, but that they can just see the light and the love of God through you. Like that to me is very, very powerful, much more powerful than the person that's going to come knocking like, you're going to go to hell. Like, that is like the testimony and the fruits and the testament of what God did in your life. That speaks, and no one can take that away from you. But this is incredible. Just how you are building the little robot and popping everything in, through the Christian values and things like that. Okay, so I suppose let's just kind of wrap up. There's been so much good conversation. I'm so excited for you, just for everything, because when I saw this verse earlier today. Did I say the verse earlier? I'm not sure, but when I was like thinking about this and just kind of spending time with God earlier before we met, he was giving the Malachi 3:12 verse about nations will call you blessed. Did I already say that earlier?
No, I don't believe.
This verse stood out to me, and then as soon as you came on the call, I'm like, no, nations will call you blessed. Like it kept standing out. So yeah, I wanted to just kind of highlight that first before we end it. But yeah, there's so much good conversation. I feel like we could probably talk the whole day, but we have to wrap up. And so, Cesar, how can people kind of just connect with you and support your business? I know that you sort of at the beginning stages, so obviously it's not that, you've got a robot on the market, but just a little bit of an explanation of how they can connect with you, and then what is that next step to then for you guys to get your little robot online so we can all, have a robot teaching our kids how to be the next kingdom entrepreneurs. That'll be amazing.
Yeah, that's very kind of you, El. So, I mean, obviously, I build ecosystems for Samsung and Lenovo and Apple, and I've created so much growth.
Wow.
I created over $100 million in new revenue from scratch.
Wow.
In different positions. So one thing that, besides obviously doing something for God's kingdom is, we need definitely the money. The money
Yes.
is the tool for that. And saying that, the first product that we're coming out to the market now, hopefully before Christmas, is going to be our ebook, right? Telling the story of the robot. It is a version of the novel that I'm writing, right? So I'm writing a trilogy of novels that is going to be a target group 8+, right? 8 to 99. I know more adults that read that book than children. And this children's book is full of rhyming poems, beautiful, handcrafted poems, and telling the story also through rhythmic prose. So I hope that it's going to be a great experience for the children. It is animated, it's going to be as ebook, and it's going to be as printed version. We're going to offer all of that for £35, which is a really good deal. So the first of all, we just don't want to ask for investment. We want to really create value, and hopefully we can create enough value to bootstrap our company through selling books. Maybe that's one way. Either ways, right now we are desperately needing a little bit of extra money, to help with the marketing and finalize some details. So for that, we are trying to put together 1.5 million in pre-seed, and all of that is through a convertible note instrument, right? That means that we have tickets from 10,000. So if you have 10,000 laying in your back doing nothing, getting maybe 1% per year, think about it. We are going to give you up to 10% yearly interest rate on that. And we are going to be able to pay it back in 24 to 36 months, right? So it is a convertible note because, you can choose that we pay you back, with 10% annual, which is huge, right? Compared to the 1% you get. Or in 3 years, you will have the opportunity to convert that money into shares of our company, right? And we're going to give the investors or the people who help us a 10 to 20% discount on the evaluation of that moment. So, we're going to do also a crowdfunding campaign, but this is still not ready. But, I guess, once we are online, please buy our book, support us with that. We're giving you value for your money. And before that, if you are so kind and you have a little bit of money parked somewhere that is not giving you anything back, we have those tickets from 10,000 to 250K, right?
Yeah, awesome. And then is it just your website that's sort of the one that I can add into the YouTube link and stuff? That's the main point of contact, how people can kind of get hold of you?
Yes. So there is my telephone, right? Is my telephone. They can write me messages in WhatsApp, Telegram, whatever. They can call me directly also. And there's also my email. At this stage, I'm very, very personal with anybody that wants to be involved. And obviously the other way to be involved is also if you have a skill set or there's something that you have that you believe that you can help us with. At the moment, we cannot hire anybody because we don't have the funds. But we hope that in between 6 months, we will be able to start hiring people. And we want to hire people who want to make a difference, people who also are faith-driven, hopefully,
Yes.
people that are highly skilled. I mean, we have amazing co-founders. We have 2 PhDs, one in AI and the other one in robotics. She won an MIT Innovations
Wow.
Award. So we have had, really, God has blessed us greatly also with our co-founding
Incredible.
team.
Wow.
And
Praise God.
if you believe you can help us with any of that, also please contact me.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you, Cesar. All the best. And what is the last thing that I can say to you? Nations will call you blessed. And your little robot.
Oh my God, this is too much.
I
Thank
love
you.
it.
That's very kind of
Oh,
you.
thank you so much. Thanks, Ian, for recording. And yeah, we'll all chat soon.
Thank you, El.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.